Hey you guys, I'm doing a new video because I actually had a request to do an update with the snakes. I don't have as many as I did because I was able to find homes for the two classics in the Anery hatchlings that I had from Ruby and Onyx's clutch. But I'm not going to handle everybody too much because they actually just fed a day and a half ago, roughly. She's getting pretty big. The female boa still remains nameless. I actually had a really interesting little run-in with her. As much as I like to think I should be as comfortable with her as I am Ruby and Onyx and all them, she has proven that she's got a little bit more of a temperament. Because I actually was going to shoot a care video, and I might still post and edit it a little bit. But I tried to apply my kiss the snake on the head law to whether or not I'd let a young child handle the snakes, and she didn't like it too much. I had done the whole video, and she handled everything perfectly, but I messed up part of it, so I ended up trying to redo the video, and at that point she was pissed. She was not happy. She actually caught my lip with like 2 of her teeth. So, just a reminder, respect your animals, and take note of their tendencies and everything. I've gotten a lot of really good feedback about her when I take her into the reptile shops around here to pick up feeders and stuff. But I'm not sure if I'm going to go back to feeding either fresh kill or live, because I just recently came to the conclusion after this last live feeding that I might transition everybody to fresh kill or frozen, just for the sake of looking out for the snakes. She's really receptive right now and kind of jittery just because, like I said, she just eaten and she's a really aggressive eater. So she tends to get a little restless after she's eaten. But with that said, there's the red-tailed boa. If you guys got name ideas, feel free to leave comments with name ideas, because I have no idea what to name her, and my dad isn't naming her even though it's his snake. So let's move on to everybody else. So with the recent addition of a new platform for the turtles, it's not the most sightly of platforms, but it's put together with some cheap PVC pipe, and you want to make sure you use a non-toxic silicone to hold everything together, because if it's toxic and everything, obviously it can hurt your turtles. I recently got them a new food. And it's this weird like soft chew type of food, and you're usually supposed to feed them in like a really shallow water dish or something. But they seem kind of impartial to it. I might go back to some kind of floating based foods because it seems to initiate their feeding response a little bit better. And I recently had to go through and quarantine Jade for actually, I want to say about a week and a half, and I actually had to coat her shell in hydrogen peroxide and neosporin for a while to prevent what I thought might have been shell rot developing. But it turned out it was just false alarm, but nonetheless needed to do it. And as you can see, I've kind of switched up how I have it all set up. I had taken the rocks out, but I've read a little bit further into it, and I found little to no issues with having the rocks in there, so I put them back, and it's just a little bit more aesthetically pleasing. But as you can see, the hatchlings tank is not down there anymore because, like I said, I found the 2 classics and the Anery homes. I sold one of the classics to a little boy and his mom. The kid's actually an aspiring herpetologist. He has a huge leopard gecko collection, and he wanted his first snake. And I actually stole the sale from Petco. I went into Petco and I sold them on my snakes instead of them buying one from there. And then, of course, you guys know who's in here. Ruby, Onyx, and Amy. I would get the turtles out, but they decided recently that they wanted to start peeing on me when I handle them. So I don't handle them as much anymore. But, of course, Amy is locked up in the top vine like she normally is. For about a week, she actually started hiding under the water dish a lot more. But apparently she's decided she wanted to take back to the vines. And again, this is just supporting my arboreal claim about corn snakes and it being kind of important to have something for them to climb on. Let's see, where is... I've kind of given up the fight on trying to keep everybody out from behind here. Because, yeah, they're obviously winning that fight. I'm not winning at all. Then, of course, you guys remember Ruby and Onyx. If you'd just come out from under... No, don't go back under there. Okay, well, he's going to be a little bit of a turd. But, with all that said... there's those guys. They're all about almost 3 years old. Ruby and Onyx should be hitting 3 in about a couple months. And then Amy's a little bit younger, so she's about 2.5 right now. But to give you guys a rough idea of their size, because they all might get a little bit bigger, but they're roughly about as big as I think they're gonna get. Because the feeding schedule I had them on for a while, I think it kind of stunted their growth a little bit. But Amy weighs in at about 250 grams, and she is roughly 34, 36 inches long. Ruby, wherever she just went, oh, she's curled up back here. Ruby, she is actually coming in at like about 40 inches to 42 inches long now, and she actually weighs in at about 280 grams. And then Onyx is about the same length as Ruby, even though I had an issue with his tail when he was a baby. You can see it's kind of stubby. He weighs in at about 370, if I remember right. I'd have to check his weight again. But that's roughly their size, and they're all about, like I said, between 2.5 and almost 3 years old. So corn snakes are a really manageable size for those of you who are interested in getting your first snake. I recommend corn snakes personally because if you ever do something wrong and they bite you, they can't do much. It's no worse than some hard Velcro and maybe like a paper cut. They don't get too big. They're a little bit more exciting to handle than some of the larger snakes because they tend to be more energetic. But with that said, let's take you over to what is the final setup for the baby corns for the hatchlings that are going to be part of my future breeding projects. It's kind of nice having less tanks, but I plan on actually here, I want to say the next 2 or 3 months, I plan on separating the corns into their pairs and actually setting them up on the shelf with 2 different 10-gallon tanks. Just that way I can take this setup off. And I actually recently purchased a custom fridge incubator. Kid set it up. I need to pick up a thermostat so I can monitor things once eggs start coming around this upcoming season. But it was a nice steal. I picked that up when I picked up that tank too. But let's get these guys out. And like I said, everyone just fed like a day and a half ago, so I'm not handling them too much. And that's why this video is a little bit shorter than a lot of collection videos are. So here we go. You got, if I can get everybody untangled. Alright, well, I'll just pull everyone out. Call it a day. Alright, so as you guys can see, you have Zeus, who's actually the snow corn from Ruby and Onyx's clutch. He is definitely going to be a runt. I mean, he's almost 2 months old, and he's not even in the same ballpark as the other two in size. And then my Tessera, Aries, he is coming in at about 3 months old now. And I haven't been monitoring weight yet. It's been very clear that they're all gaining weight and they're all growing healthy. But with that said, this kind of puts into perspective the size gap between them and Zeus. Because, I mean, they're only a month older than him, and they are definitely a good bit bigger than him. He's still eating pinkies, and they're actually eating fuzzies now. And Hera is actually, I want to say she's probably a good inch or two longer than Aries. She's growing a lot. She seems to be taking after their dad a lot, so that raises my chances of hoping that she's going to come out like her dad and end up with that heavy red factor gene that Kristen had been talking to me about. And then, as you guys saw in my video for feeding everyone, yeah, see how big they are compared to him? Aphrodite was not eating yesterday. And she is still not eating because she's a royal pain in my butt. I've been keeping her alone with the mouse for a little bit now. I don't even know if the mouse is still alive. It's still alive. I had to clean out the container because she decided she wanted to take a mighty big crap in it. But with that said, this is everybody in my collection now as of now. My collection probably won't be expanding anytime soon, just because I want to get everything. I don't want to expand too quickly and end up with something I can't handle. But with that said and done, you guys, it's been a pleasure introducing you to all the snakes again. I'll go through and I'll explain all of their morphs real quick for you. Zeus is a snowcorn for those of you who don't know what a snowcorn is. Hera, she is a normal, but she might carry this thing that the breeder is calling a red factor gene, which as she gets older, her pattern will completely blot out red. Ares, back here, he is a tessera, and I found out that he actually might be a striped tessera, because apparently after doing a little bit of research, the clarity of his pattern is something that usually happens when a tessera carries a stripe gene, or they carry it recessively. And then with Amy up there, Amy is actually a pewtercorn. For those of you who aren't aware of that, a pewtercorn is actually a classification of blood red, or not a blood, yeah, of a blood red corn. And that blood red gene is actually when their underbellies actually completely white out. They don't have the checkers like corn snakes are actually named for. And then, let's see, Onyx, he is an Anery ghost. I actually had somebody tell me that he might be hypo, which is partially, they've said partially why the front, I want to say 6 inches of his body has a really odd orangish tint to him. And then you have Ruby down here, who, she is actually an amelanistic, or in like layman terms, I found out recently, because I always thought albino was white, but I was wrong. Albino is just kind of a generic street term for amelanistic corn snakes. And then with the turtles, they're not too difficult to understand. They're obviously red-eared sliders. Jade is just a normal, and then Topaz is a really nice pastel. Don't overfeed them because they will always beg for food, just for reference, people. And then obviously the red-tailed boa, she's just a classic morph, nothing special as far as the morph pattern or anything like that. But yeah, with that all said and done, you guys, hopefully this update video was informative. I figured it'd be nice to do one since I just had somebody request it. And yeah, so take it easy, have a good day, and later.